Grew up dreaming of being a cowboy, loving the cowboy way, pursuing the life of my high riding heroes. I burned up my childhood days. Hello, 45 Alpha Charlie Papa. Get that light out of your eyes. How are you this evening? Well, we're over here doing some dirty old gunsmithing work. Isn't that a terrible idea? Working on this 1906 Winchester that we had pulled the barrel off of last time we were here. And I'm just kind of cleaning up the dovetail here where we had that hanger that had been silver soldered on. So, dirty, everyday gunsmithing, no glory, nothing exciting about it. Just the type of things that you do in the shop quite a bit. This is just cleanup work. And the reason that I bring this up is that we are at a point in this project where we've got to make some serious decisions as to where we're going with this before we go any further. Obviously, the next thing is to line the barrel. Can't do that until I have the barrel cleaned up, and I have to decide whether or not we're going to refinish this or not. Looking at the barrel, and it's not in the best of shape. You can see it's stained, it's dirty, it's beat up. The dovetail there, I'm going to have to undercut that some more and see whether I can make the hanger for the magazine tube fit again. But it's in pretty sad shape. Even here where the printing on the barrel is, you can barely read it. It's in bad shape. I'm thinking that I'm probably going to refinish this. I'm going to bubba this gun, mainly for several reasons. One is the stock is going to have to be replaced. The original stock is here. It's held together with wood screws. There's chunks missing out of it. It's going to have a replacement stock, so that's not going to be original. The forend on it that came with it is somebody's homemade forend, so that's not going to be original. The receiver has got some peening on it up here that we're going to want to take off and make flush again, because it looks like it's been hammered on all the way around. Oops. It looks like it's been hammered on all the way around. If you can see that raised area, I don't know. Somebody evidently didn't know how to take it apart and thought they could just beat the receiver off the barrel. And it's actually screwed on, as we learned last time when we removed it. There's just not a lot here to save. The bolt, you can see, is beat up. Looks like it's been hammered on too. And if this were in better shape, if there was some more finish, there was something on it that would lead it to be collectible, I probably wouldn't do this. But let me grab something here. We have this other Model 90 that is a 22 short gallery rifle with a octagon barrel that still has quite a bit of blue on it. The receiver itself is not in much better shape. It's not been hammered on, but it doesn't have much of any bluing left on it. The stock is a replacement already. This one I would not do anything else with. I mean, all I've done is clean it up. I'm not going to reblue this one. This gun has got enough collector interest and enough original patina left, is decent enough shape to go ahead and say, that one we need to just save and leave. The other thing I've noticed on this one, the muzzle is going to have to be recrowned. I don't know if you can see in here. Yes, you can. I think that there's a noticeable dip in the side of that muzzle. That's going to have to be cut flat again and then recrowned. There's just so much work to do on this gun. I don't see any way of particularly saving it as an original. So if we're going to go part way, we might as well use it as a test bed and to learn some things on and use it for our project. So we've got that a little cleaned up. The next thing we're going to want to do is I'm going to want to, before I go ahead and line this barrel, I'm going to want to clean up the outside of it a little bit. So I'm going to use a tool called a barrel spinner. This is available, Climber makes it. I think it's available through Brownells. And it's got these nylon tips on it that are in ball bearings, so it spins easily. And the way this would originally have been done for a beginner, they would tell you to use the shoe shine method to clean this barrel up. Okay? Shoe shine method is just what it sounds like. We'll put the barrel in the vise with a little bit of it sticking out over the end where we can work on it. We'll take some 220 grit, or 150 grit, I'm sorry, we'll start with 150 grit emery cloth. And we'll clean this barrel up by coming over the end of it and simply like we're shining shoes. And we will do this for sometimes hours on end, it seems like. I'll just show you where we've gone. We started, the barrel looked like that. And now you can see where I've started to polish it to where it looks considerably better than it did. So you just work up and down the barrel. That way you don't put any flats in it. And you start out with like your 150 grit here, and then you go down to 220 and keep going down until you get the kind of finish you want on it. With the dings that are in this barrel, you could probably start at 60 grit to get some of the dings out of the barrel. I don't know that we're going to go that far. I think we're going to leave some character in it, and rather than take it down to absolutely smooth, because if we do that, we'll lose all of the writing on the barrel. It shows us the model number and the manufacturer and all that other stuff. So we don't want to end up with nothing left on the barrel that identifies it. So as usual, like a doctor, do as little damage as possible. Do no harm. There you go. So now we're going to go ahead and get this set up here in the spinner, the barrel spinner. What we started doing, we just put it in between centers here and then tighten our Allen screws up. And now what we have is we have the barrel held between these centers and it'll freely spin. Okay, so what do we accomplish there? Well, what we've done is we've gotten it ready to put it on a sander. Okay, what we have here is what's called a Scott Murray drum. It's an expandable rubber drum. There's several on the market, different types, and they take sanding discs or belts that in different grits. This one's a 120 grit. Put it on there. There's some arrows to show us which way it should turn, and when we turn it on, we can now take our barrel on our barrel spinner, put it on here on a slight angle. As we move it across the drum, we'll sand that barrel smooth. This is a whole bunch better than that shoe shine method we talked about just a second ago. And now we can just continue with that until we get it down to the degree of polish we want. If we want to go finer, we can put a finer grit on there and bring it up to higher and higher polish. From here, it's like most gunsmithing work. It's work. There's not a lot to show you, except that I'm going to be here probably for the next 20 or 30 minutes at least, working on this barrel, spinning it on this fixture, and taking the bluing off of it, as well as taking a lot of the scratches, dings, and dents, and getting it ready for finish. So we're holding the barrel not flat against the polishing wheel, but at an angle. Okay? And what we're trying to do is get, if we hold it flat against there, we get very little resistance. So we get a little more resistance if we hold it this way, because as we're spinning it, we're also polishing it at an angle here. So if we put it up there, you can see it spin. And I know that there are the purists out there have cringed, probably already shut this off, cussing at themselves that he's ruined that gun barrel. He's ruined that gun. Functionality is all gone. Well, you know, there are several things you have to consider when you're doing this work. One is, what does the customer want? He's the one paying you, and it's his gun. In this case, it happens to be my gun, but we don't have to necessarily talk about that. It depends on who you're doing this for. And for yourself, it depends on what do you want. I mean, who cares what the other people want? What's important is, what do you want? If you want to take this back down to original condition, well, you're not going to get there. And I don't know if I can show you why or not. Some of the bangs and dings in this barrel are so deep that even with what we've already done, they're going to show through any bluing we do. This is just always going to be nothing but a well-used, refinished model 1906. But what we have done is we've rounded it off, we've taken most of the scratches off, and all of our nomenclature that's on the barrel, the model number and the manufacturer and the caliber, are all still on there. It's all still readable. So we've taken and cleaned the barrel up some. I'm going to take it from this 120 grit down to 220 and polish it up some more. Okay, we're just about done now. One of the first rules of power tools is never stop the work. You have got to keep the work moving all the time it's in contact. Because if you stop, you will get a flat spot. And then you are going to spend a lot of time sitting on this machine trying to round it all out again. So you pay attention to what you're doing. You never stop moving the work. Even at a slow pace, it never stops. If it stops, you're making a flat spot wherever it's sitting. So you make sure you keep that moving. And now, hopefully you can see that. It's down here. Shut that off so I don't have to compete with it. Hopefully you can see this is a whole bunch cleaner and nicer looking than it was when we started. We got most of the dings and dents out. There's still some pits in there, and as I said, I could get them out if I wanted to go far enough, but if I do that, what I end up with is I end up taking all of the markings off of it, and I don't want to do that. So we've got that pretty much cleaned up. Let's set that aside. We're back from having polished this barrel. Now we'll just remove it from the jig here, which is, as I said, this is a barrel spinner. It's made by Climber. I know it's available through Brownells, or at least it used to be. It was when I bought this one. Like all gunsmithing tools, it's not particularly cheap. Last time I checked, I think they were about $125. Just depends. As I said, you could do that entire barrel by hand. And I've done them by hand before. Don't like it, but I've done it all by hand before with that shoe shine method, all the way up and down the barrel. It will take you days. I could say hours, but frankly, it'll take you several hours to do it. You'll probably not do it in one sitting. You have to make sure that you have the different grits you want to go through, but it can be done. How much time I'm going to spend working on it? Now, we could recrown this barrel now, but we're going to drill it out anyway. So I don't think we need to do that particularly. Now we talk about drilling out the barrel. Sounds scary. And normally you would think, how am I going to have a drill long enough? Well, same people that sell the barrel liners sell the drill to do it. This is a step-down drill. It is for the 22 barrel liner. If you can see, it has a step-down or smaller area up here in front, and then it steps up to the diameter of the liner. What that's for is this acts as a pilot. This is going to go into the bore and just barely fit. until it gets to there. And then it's going to guide this, and you're only going to get halfway through. And then you're going to go from the other end. Now, as long as that hole is straight through there from the factory, it's going to meet up just fine. If you were using a short bit of drill and there was no hole in there, meeting them exactly might be a concern, but in this case, not so much. So that's our next step. Unfortunately, because of the snowstorm, my liner still isn't here. So I can go on with the drilling now. I think what I'll do is I will stop this one here, and then when we get the liner here, we'll do the drilling and put the liner in. So until next time, you know what I'm going to do next, don't you? You might want to turn it off now before you have to listen to me. But happy trails. Some trails are happy ones, others are blue. It's the way you ride the trail that counts. Here's a happy one for you. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Good night, Buttermilk.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.